Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. Podbean, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. We have Twitter and we have Facebook. Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is type that bad boy in on the search engine. You'll find it. Follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Facebook, same thing. All you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy and you'll find it. Follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Okay, so NFL day today. That was a quick intro, but we're going to be, diving deep in today. And by the way, I just want to, cut myself off for a little bit. It is a beautiful day outside today, at least where I'm at. So if, wherever you're listening from and watching from, I don't know if it's a beautiful day outside for you, but just go outside and, just take a whiff, take a whiff of fresh air and just feel good. It's a beautiful day today, beautiful Thursday today, and getting ready to talk about some NFL. So we got some headlines coming out of Minnesota we're going to talk about. It involves running back Dalvin Cook and edge rusher Danielle Hunter. So that's going to be, interesting. We're going to, give you some updates on them, and we're going to talk about some news out of Minnesota. And these are some news. These are some headlines that are just, they're pretty fresh. Came out this morning. So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about something a little bit on the controversial side, and that includes NFL and its gambling policy. Now, it's a little on the controversial side, but it's been weighing on my mind to talk about, and I just want to, set the tone straight, on the whole policy and what does it mean and what's the stance on it, if that makes sense. So subscribe to the channel, leave a like on each episode, leave comments down below, follow on that's on YouTube, follow on Podbean, share around on with others on Podbean. Same thing with Spotify. Follow on there, share around on Spotify as well. We're on all other platforms as well. We're on Amazon Alexa. All you got to say is, hey, Alexa, play Pigskin Frenzy on iHeartRadio. Boom, it's on there. We're on Samsung, and, we're also on Facebook and Twitter, so follow and like the page on both of those. So now, let's just kick it off right into Minnesota, right? Let's go into the headliner today for Minnesota, and according to NFL Insider for ESPN, Adam Schefter, he reports that Minnesota has informed running back Dalvin Cook that they plan to release him. So this has been a long time coming. Obviously, we've been hearing some rumors about, okay, are they going to trade him? Are they going to cut him? What's going to happen? It's looking like that if they don't have a trade partner by the day, they are going to plan to release him, and it's looking like they're going to release him tomorrow, maybe later tonight, most likely by tomorrow. So what does this mean? So it means that there's two teams that are interested, right? I've been hearing a lot about the Denver Broncos, and I've been hearing a lot about the Miami Dolphins, mainly the Miami Dolphins. Let me tell you why Miami Dolphins are a good fit for Dalvin Cook. Because he's a type of runner that fits their scheme and what they're looking for on offense. And Dalvin Cook has been dealing with a lot of injuries throughout his entire career. It's been happening at Florida State. He had an ankle injury at Florida State. He's been having ankle injuries for Minnesota, knee injuries, you name it. He's been kind of beat up. And in Minnesota, they ran the ball a lot more with Dalvin Cook. Then, they started throwing the ball a lot more. They have Justin Jefferson. They had Adam Thielen. Now, this season coming up, they have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. They have an offensive coordinator that wants to throw, and rely on the run a little bit, but more throw. Head coach in Kevin O'Connell. So, yes, I think the style of play kind of fits. For Dalvin Cook going to Miami. You have Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle. You have Tyreek Hill. You have a lot of guys that you could, ease some of that pressure off of him for. Yeah, Dalvin Cook can still run the ball and make plays. Sure, you're going to have to run the ball, on offense. But it's not one of those, okay, I'm just going to, run, run, run. Kind of like a Derrick Henry playbook. It's not going to, okay, the run is my main focus. I have other options. I have other weapons that I can utilize. So it's one of those things that's gonna, or one of those schemes, I would say, that fits, what Miami is looking for and what Dalvin Cook is looking for. Obviously, it's a fit on both ends. Now, if you want to talk about Denver could be a fit just because of the rotation. You have Javonte Williams, you have Samaje Perine, and now you can add Dalvin Cook to that mix. You can rotate 3 backs out. You can put Javonte Williams up there and Dalvin Cook up there, and you can rotate them in and out. And for the Vikings, it also works out too, because Alexander Mattinson has been a solid back for them for a while. I think him getting a promotion, honestly, at the starting job is likely, and it's fair, if that makes sense. It's one of those things that's really, really fair for the Minnesota Vikings and for Alexander Mattinson. It works out for all parties, right? Cook leaving Minnesota works out for all parties, I think. Dalvin Cook gets what he wants, and he's in a better scheme that fits his style of play, and, he could probably, take a little less hits, instead of keeping on getting hurt and getting injured. So that's just the latest about Dalvin Cook. Minnesota plans to release him tomorrow, if not later today. If they can't find a suitable trade partner, it's looking like Minnesota will release running back Dalvin Cook, with Miami and Denver being interested in him. So moving on, let's talk about, still remaining on the topic with Minnesota Vikings. According to league sources for the inside the NFL, Minnesota has an interest in listening to trade talks for defensive end Danielle Hunter. And my mind is this, okay? Is it not shocking? No, it's not shocking. I'll tell you why it's not shocking. The same thing with Dalvin Cook. Injuries. I will tell you why. 2020, he hurt his neck, and he suffered which required a season-ending surgery. 2021, he was on his verge of a comeback. He then got hurt and tore his pec. So 2022 was his bounce back year, right? It was his bounce back year. He garnered 10.5 sacks, and he was amazing. He was one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. He was ever since he was at LSU, he was one of, the top prospects and one of the most underrated defensive players and defensive ends in the NFL, right? Ever since coming out of LSU. So when you look at Danielle Hunter, it's like, okay, when healthy, he's a get, right? He is a player to get, but injuries are a big concern. So and I can see why the Vikings would want to, be interested in listening to trade talks. Now, here's the key right here. Who's interested, right? Who's interested? Here's who I think should be interested if I'm seeing a defensive end of that caliber on the market. If I'm the New York Giants, I'm listening. I will tell you why. Because Kayvon Thibodeau, and I've said this before, Kayvon Thibodeau can't do it by himself. Okay? Giant defensive end and right outside linebacker, Kayvon Thibodeau from the Oregon Ducks. He is, coming back. He is a, second year guy. So he is a second year dude. He is, he's electric. Right? Kayvon Thibodeau was electric. He did really, really well for the Giants last season. He's one of their big guys. They want to keep him long term. But he can't be just the sole edge rusher of that team. You got to have another, either rotate him and out with somebody or place another edge rusher on one side. Enter Danielle Hunter. I think that would be a good fit right there. Danielle Hunter and then Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side. To help out a little bit on that defense, Danielle Hunter would be a good grab for the New York Giants. Works out for both parties. One, you get rid of those injury type factors, and number two, if you're the Giants, it's a little bit less risk of injury because you can rotate Danielle Hunter out and in, right? The Vikings were playing him. You can rotate him in and out with a Thibodeau or with somebody else. It works out for all parties. Again, it's just like the Dalvin Cook trade or release for Dalvin Cook. It works out for all parties. I am kind of interested to see where this goes with Danielle Hunter. I think he's one of the most underrated defensive ends in the National Football League. I really do. Do I think he's like a Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Aaron Donald, TJ Watt? Is he? Probably not. He's not up there at number 1 in the top 5, but he's certainly a top 10 to top 15 defensive end. He really is. He is a solid defensive end, solid defensive player. He's a sack machine, honestly. He at one point he was almost defensive player of the year. So Danielle Hunter is a very interesting prospect here on the market. And if I'm the Vikings, I would listen to trade talks, obviously, but I would take it lightly. I think Danielle Hunter is a good player, and it's going to be kind of hard giving him up. But if the money is right and if it's right for all parties, I would be interested in trading him. And if I'm the New York Giants, I'm looking at that and being like, okay, we're on to something here. I think Kayvon Thibodeau could use a little bit of help, and we can add 2 dominant edge rushers on each side of the field. Left, right, we have a left end. We have Danielle Hunter. On the right, we have Kayvon Thibodeau. Who's going to stop him? You know what I'm saying? Who can contain him? If you can guard Kayvon Thibodeau, Danielle Hunter's going to get to you, and vice versa, right? So it's one of those things where I think the New York Giants, to me, should be team number 1 to look out for Danielle Hunter. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on that, or if there's articles out there in the world. Hey, if y'all agree with me on that, sure, great, go for it. But I think the Giants would be a good fit for Danielle Hunter, and I think it would work out for all parties if a Danielle Hunter trade happened. So, that's just it from Minnesota. Dalvin Cook is probably going to they're planning to release Dalvin Cook. Also, Minnesota has trade interest for into Danielle Hunter. So that's it from Minnesota, and we're moving on. We're going to talk about something a little bit controversial here right now: the sports gambling, policy for the NFL. So, you can put that graphic on now. So, one thing that's just been kind of rolling in my mind a little bit is the NFL and sports gambling policy. So, we've been seeing this a lot here lately in the past couple of months. Players getting suspended for betting. And when I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, it's very dumb to do that. Obviously, you work for an organization, we need to, clean that up, be better. It actually started a year ago with a wide receiver, now Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver, former and then Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. Started with him, and he bet on the Falcons and got suspended the whole season of last year. Did not play a single down of football last year because of it. He betted on a couple of Falcons games, 1 or 2 maybe, and that cost him a season of his career. It's one of those things that the NFL's serious about. You don't do that. It's bad, right? Okay. Understandable. I get it. It's one of those things though that kind of confuses me, and I'll get to that in a minute. So after that, more players have come out of, for sports betting violations. Here recently, it's been, 5. I'll name a few right now. They are investigating Colt defensive back, Isaiah Rodgers, for a possible fraction. And I don't know if there's no suspension that's been handed down yet, but the Colts and the NFL are looking into that now. Lions, let's go to Detroit. The Lions wide receiver Quintez Cephas and safety CJ Moore were suspended indefinitely. The Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney was suspended indefinitely for betting on games. Here's the thing. If you're in an NFL facility, you're betting on the NFL season, you're betting on all the games for your teams. It's a violation. There's a clear policy against it, unfortunately. And yes, suspend them for indefinitely. Here's what I, got confused about. So, Jameson Williams is one of those players who were betting Keyword, inside an NFL facility, but he was betting on college football. He was suspended for 6 games. 6 games for placing bets at an NFL facility on non-NFL games. Now, here's the stance on it. Was it at an NFL facility? Was it at an NFL facility? I mean, that's an obvious question. Yes, it was. So why are you suspending him for 6 games and suspending everybody else indefinitely? That's my confusion. That's my main point about this. My main point is this. Is it bad? Yes, it's bad. I would say put a clear, cutthroat policy on gambling. I would, for 100% sure. I am totally against it. That's my stance on it. I am totally against it. You're probably thinking, Joel, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what? Y'all can agree with me. Y'all can disagree with me on this. Y'all can agree with me on this. I think gambling is gambling on NFL games as a player who works in the NFL. Because at the end of the day, here's the difference. You can talk about NIL. You can talk about transfer portal. College football is still college. It is still school. It is still student athlete. NFL, you're an adult. You're a grown man. I mean, you know, these kids in college are grown. I'm not saying that. But the NFL is a professional league. It is a business. You sign contracts, and you're getting paid to play. You don't need to bet on yourself in the NFL. You don't, just go out there and play the game, I don't know why people are betting on NFL games who are working for the NFL. It's not good. It's not good, and it's not good for the sport either. So I agree with that. Betting on non-football games, non-NFL games, you're probably thinking, okay, if you're not in college anymore, why does that matter? You're doing it at an NFL facility. And I think rules are rules, and you need to comply with rules. Now, I think if it was outside of the NFL facility, it's a whole different conversation. But if you're inside, Detroit's NFL facilities and you're on NFL grounds, I think there are some rules that you need to comply with, and there are some league rules that you need to say they need to crack down on and be like, hey, that's a violation of our policies. Why are you doing this kind of thing? And crack down on it. I get it. Totally. Now, whole different discussion and a whole different ball game if you're doing it outside of NFL grounds. But if it's on NFL grounds, yeah, sure. So here's the thing. If you are, doing it on NFL games, you need to be suspended indefinitely. If you're doing non-NFL games and you're doing it on NFL grounds, you need to be suspended indefinitely. I don't care if it's, it shouldn't be, it's 6 games. He was doing college football, 6 games. That, slap on the wrist, right? No, dude. Jameson Williams needs to be suspended indefinitely. That's not me being, or hating or anything like that, but rules are rules, and it needs to be fair for everybody in the NFL. If Calvin really got suspended for a whole year and lost a season of his career, some of these players who were doing it, regardless if it's college, NFL, if it's on NFL grounds and if it's NFL games, it needs to be indefinitely. It needs to be clear, cut, and concise. It doesn't need to be a confusion. Where does the NFL stand on it, right? That's what confuses me. Or is it 6 games? Is it indefinitely? What's happening here? So Tom Brady released a educational video on what not to do. Obviously, go and listen to the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, right? He knows what to do. He is one of the NFL masterminds. He's been in the league for I don't know how many years, and how many seasons. So go and listen to him. He's wise and he's educated on this stuff. He knows what to do. So basically, he told everybody what to do and to crack down on this stuff. Coaches are issuing warnings about this stuff. It's getting more and more. You thought it would stop after one time with Calvin Ridley, but more players are doing it, and more guys are doing it in the National Football League, and it's kind of a worrisome trend. Honestly, I sometimes I see headlines and I see people going, okay, just scrolling through. And on Bleacher Report, you're scrolling through on Twitter, and you see that headline pop up, and it's not something you want to see because you want to see those athletes play. They're athletes, right? They're contractually obligated to play for the National Football League, and you want to see them play. You don't want to see them miss a season. You don't want to see them miss games, right? You want to see them play, So follow the rule. Here's my thing on this. This may be controversial, but here's the deal. Follow the rules. That's my main takeaway from this. Follow the rules, do the right thing, and play the game. It's no need. You have all the money in the world. You're playing your contract. You're in your contract. You have all the money in the world. You're an athlete. You're, pretty much a millionaire. So just go and play the game that you enjoy, and you make your money that way. You don't have to do this. Right? That's the main takeaway about this sport, the gambling policy and gambling in the NFL with players. I do not know the extent of the Isaiah Rodgers, investigation yet. I don't know. There's no other headlines that I have seen yet. I do know about the others. I mean, suspended 6 games. The rest are suspended indefinitely. Just because it was college football games, it was suspended 6 games. So, I'm sorry, non-NFL games, rather. He was suspended. Jameson Williams was suspended 6 games. Now, my takeaways are this, to conclude, I guess. 1, don't do it. Follow the rules. That's 1. 2, the stance needs to be clear and concise. It is like, if you want to dip into college football here for a second, I know it's Thursday, but if you want to dip into college football for a second, we need to discuss what's pass interference, what's targeting. I discussed that in previous episodes back doing Pigskin Frenzy when I started. So it needs to be clear and concise. What's targeting, what's pass interference? Just like this, what is the stance on it? Are we suspending them for 6 games, 8 games, 10 games, or are we suspending them the whole season? Right? Calvin Ridley lost a season of his football career because of this. Some guys are suspended indefinitely, while others are suspended 6 games because it was, quote-unquote, non-NFL games, but it was at an NFL facility. I put air quotes on that because to me, it's all the same. You're doing it at the NFL facility. Doesn't matter if it's an NFL game or not. Yes, it matters. Well, it matters if it's an NFL game. Don't do it if it's an NFL game either. That's worse. But if it's at an NFL facility, it's on NFL grounds. It's rules, man. You need to crack down on it. And I think that it's one of those things where, follow the rules, make a clear, concise policy on, okay, if everybody does it, it's a season. Okay? You lose a season. Doesn't matter if you're the 3rd string defensive back or if you're Jalen Hurts, right? You lose a season. Or you lose 6 games, or you lose this. It needs to be looked at. It's an alarming trend, I think, and I think it needs to be looked at more by the NFL, and it is going to be looked at more by the NFL and being investigated by owners and in management. And obviously, I would investigate it as well. It's one of those things where it's an alarming trend and you don't want to see it. But my stance on it is this. Please follow the rules. Everybody out there, follow the rules. In the NFL, please follow the rules, and, for the NFL, make the policy concise and clear, make it a stance. Don't confuse the stance, because 6 games for one player and then you're suspending everybody else indefinitely. To me, it's like, okay, doesn't matter if it's on an NFL facility or not. He should still be suspended the same amount of time they're getting suspended. It's just rules, and it's supposed to be fair, in my opinion. I think it's fair on all parties if we have a clear and concise policy for the NFL. That just about does it for Pigskin Frenzy. Again, that's all my take on it. Let me know what you think in the comments on Podbean. Comment on there and comment on YouTube, right? I want to hear your thoughts about the Minnesota, trade with Danielle Hunter and Minnesota cutting Dalvin Cook, as well as the policy for the gambling for the NFL. So that just about does it. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. Podbean, same thing. If you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. We have Twitter and we have Facebook. Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is type that bad boy in on the search engine. You'll find it. Follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Facebook, same thing. All you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy. You'll find it. Follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday once again. We'll be back Tuesday with some more college football coverage and a college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy. We concluded our mini series on conference standings. We're going to be talking, we're probably going to be diving deep into, a lot of things going on in the world of college football. Again, just an announcement. I'm going to try to get interviews soon. So, hopefully during, a future episodes of Pigskin Frenzy, we'll have people join our show and we'll discuss everything going around in the world of football. So, again, college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy Tuesday. I'm Joel Norris signing off, and we will see you Tuesday for another edition of Pigskin Frenzy. And for everybody out there, stay the course.